Hey everybody, hope you're doing great. Today we are going to be doing one of my favorite things out in the garden, and that's harvesting and eating. We are going to harvest, cook, eat ourselves some fresh, organic winter produce right out of the garden. So we're going to quickly go over here. I'll show you what's looking good. We're going to harvest it. We're going to go get it cleaned up and get it right over to my classroom and cook it up into a wonderful little recipe. It's a cream of broccoli. I just learned it from the chef a few weeks ago, Chef Hazelton here at the school. He's super talented. So the main ingredient in today's dish is going to be broccoli, of course, cream of broccoli. But oddly enough, there's going to be no cream, no traditional cream in our cream of broccoli. But the first thing you do is get in here, harvest out these crowns. We got some big, beautiful ones here, and I'm actually going to cook a bunch up. Luckily, these crowns, they've been on here for a week or two, looking about ready. They're starting to pull apart. So you notice that they're about ready. If I leave them on here, they're going to start popping and loosening even more. And that's not what we want. So I'm gonna grab all three of these crowns because whatever we don't cook, we're gonna eat fresh right in the kitchen. So let's get them right over. We're gonna go rinse these off and get them over to the pot and get them cooking. Ooh, on my way out of the garden, I noticed our thyme is looking pretty good. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this English thyme, just cut a few sprigs. And this is gonna be great to mix in at the end there with our soup. So we'll throw that in with some of our broccoli there. I'll grab some extra just for good measure because I love fresh thyme. Oh, I love using these grow bags. They're great to grow in weird areas. Over here in the concrete patio, we got our herb garden. But look, on the way out, I just got the thyme, but I noticed some of our parsley is looking pretty good too. So I'm actually just gonna take a little bit, a few cuts, not a whole lot. Oh, you can see that we had a ladybug in there. So I'll try not to disturb the ladybug too much. But look at that. Oh man, we're gonna chop that up, maybe add a little bit at the end just to freshen things up, but I cannot wait. That's gonna be delicious. So first, let's begin with all the things we're gonna use today in this recipe. We got a one pot here, a little instant cooker. You can cook this many different ways at home. This is just the most convenient way for me to do it here. We're gonna do it all in one container in this cooker right here. I've got an immersion blender that we'll use at the very end to kind of emulsify and creamify everything. It's gonna be great. We're gonna be peeling some carrots. So I got my little peeler here. You just need a small little paring knife here for chopping up some of this broccoli, some of these carrots, and some of these onion. Of course, a ladle for the end because we want to be able to get some of the soup out of here and into our bellies, into our bowls. I'm gonna be cooking some of this broccoli down with some chicken stock. You can use vegetable stock if you like. You don't have to use that. You can experiment many different ways with this recipe. I'm actually, like I said, I've just learned it. So for me, it's all a big experiment as well. We got some salt. I brought some garlic salt from home, but there's tons of different types of salt you can use. Just use your favorite. Use it in the amount that you think is gonna bring you the best joy. Me, just small little amounts of it do the trick. It will help bring out the flavor. We got some cracked pepper here. And of course, we have some dried thyme. But as I showed you earlier, we have some fresh thyme that we're gonna add in as well. We've got some parsley that we're gonna chop up and add at the very end. But of course, our recipe really is going to revolve around broccoli. Look at these heads. This is all grown organically. We don't use any chemical pesticides or fertilizers. And these are actually the smaller heads that I had out here. They're the last. So I actually grew ones that are much larger than these, but they're very healthy. They're looking good. If we wait any longer, these little buds are going to burst, and then it's going to go from broccoli to a bunch of flowers. And so we don't want that. So I'm going to rinse this off, get them chopped up, and I'll show you that in a moment. And of course, just a handful of carrots or so. You can add more or less. This is just what I had at home. They're not floppy or whatever, nice firm carrots, although we are growing some out in the garden. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, just some garlic. We're gonna crush up some garlic and put that in there. And as I mentioned, onions. We're gonna dice these up a little bit. Got some nice sweet yellow onions here. You could use white onions if you wanted, or whatever you prefer. And that is our ingredient list. Time to get these all cooking together. Let's first throw in the butter. It should get nice and hot in here. We're gonna get that thing bubbled up and cooking down. You can probably see the steam coming out. Hopefully I don't set off the fire alarm with this butter, but I think we'll be okay. So as the butter melts, I know it seems like a lot, but that's gonna be kind of the creamy base for this whole soup. So we can add more or less as time goes on. We can't actually add less, but you could decide to add less if you want less in yours. So it's already nice and warm. It's starting to get melted. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw in some of these carrots probably first. Get those going first off because they're a little bit more solid than some of everything else. So we'll go carrots, we'll add in some of that onion, and then we'll add in the broccoli as well. You could actually, I've seen recipes where they do this separately in 2 different pots, where you saute these in one pot and then you simmer these down in another. But today we're gonna kind of try to do it all together in one container because that's what we have here. And you know, that's almost the easiest way to do it in some cases where, you know, sometimes less is more. So carrots go in. I actually like carrots. Looking at this now, I probably should have added even more just because I love carrots so much and we're making like a double batch here. I probably could have added even more carrots into this batch, but that's okay. We've got plenty in there. Like I said, we're gonna add in some of our broccoli right away because we want to get that softened up. It takes a little while to cook. And then of course, we're gonna add in those onions, let them get caramelized as well. So we can basically, you know what, add it all in there. Just add it all. And then of course, at the end, we're gonna throw a pinch of salt in here. We're gonna get these mixed up, sauteed up. You know what, time for the garlic too. So throw that garlic in there, throw it all in there. Luckily for me, I got a pretty big container here, but I'm running out of space. So hopefully I can make this all fit. But I think we've made just the right amount. Like I mentioned, we're gonna just add a little bit of salt. Doesn't take too much. You know, just a little pinch or two, something like that. Maybe 2 of them. We got a big pot there to deal with. And of course, we'll do a little pepper at the end. I also like to add in some fresh thyme, so we'll add that in a little later. Or you can even add it in now if you'd like, but I'm gonna wait just a minute. I wanna get all this material off this, and then maybe I'll add it in. There we go. So all the material's in. Time to add a little fresh thyme. I love fresh thyme. Oh, it smells so good. And of course, we have some green thyme from the garden as well, right out of the garden. The fresh stuff, this has been dried, which is great as well. But that's our hope. We're gonna get that going. Like I said, sometimes you do this in a saute pan and then do them together. Because we're doing it in one pot, it's gonna be a little more frantic, but I think we'll be okay. We're just gonna mix that around. So let's come back to this. Our next step is gonna be to actually open up this chicken stock. We're gonna get that prepared because that is what we're gonna put into this base to liquefy it, to actually steam up some of this material. But I wanna get a nice little saute so we can get the onions, the garlic, and those carrots cooked down a little bit. So we're gonna wait. I don't wanna submerge them just yet and give them a bath. So time to let them saute and sizzle. So we've got all of our ingredients in there. We've got the onions and the carrots on the bottom with some garlic. They're sauteing in some butter. You can hear it, you can smell it. It's so good. You definitely don't want to rush ahead too quickly because you want to make sure you get those, you know, those flavors, those aromatics kind of going. Sauteed a little bit to kind of soften them up, break them down a little bit. Otherwise, if you cook them at the exact same time in the broth with the broccoli, I feel like they stay a little sharp and their flavors aren't as enjoyable. So we're cooking those down and kind of stirring it gently a little bit. The broccoli is kind of resting all on top because we're trying to do it all in one. I've added a second little cube of butter, so we've got 2 cubes of butter in there now. Of course, you can do more or less. I just love butter personally. So we've added some fresh thyme that I had chopped up. We've got the fresh parsley, but we're going to save that for the very end. Like I said, we added a little dash of salt, a little pepper. And the next step is going to be to add some chicken broth. But and then we're gonna cook it all down. We're gonna cap this off. I'll switch my setting from saute to soup so we can kind of warm the whole thing up nice and evenly instead of just that hot bottom. And then we're gonna let it cook down. I'm not gonna pressure cook it necessarily, but I will have the lid on there, it'll vent. But we're gonna cook it all down. But let's do that right now. Let's speed things up with the wonderful time lapse. Let's go. So I pulled the top off to give it a look. You can see I got a nice little slow rolling boil here. They're starting to soften up. You'll know when it's ready to be ground up with the immersion blender when these stems, when you can easily put a fork through them or your knife cut through them, I'm pretty close. I'm not quite there. I think just a few more minutes. And I don't do too much. I don't want to keep stirring it up and mashing this into mush just yet. But I do kind of poke it around and kind of stir it, make sure things aren't just resting on the bottom. But you can see it's starting to settle down and shrink a little bit. But I'm getting right there, so you'll know when it's time, when you can just easily, look at that, ooh. So we're pretty close. I mean, just a minute or two away. So I'm gonna come right back to it. There you have it, cream of broccoli soup. It smells, I wish you could smell it right now. My classroom smells amazing. I'm gonna see if I can't get some of this to share with as many people on the campus as I can. And so I'm gonna go give this to the chef first off, maybe Mr. A as well. A little parsley at the end. Just a little bit. Maybe a little touch of pepper right at the end there. And that's it, garden friends. Cream of broccoli soup. Let's go test this out. Oh, that doesn't look too bad. I'm actually pretty excited with this. Mr. A, my guinea pig, says it's pretty good. He's liking it, so I'm gonna go share this with some students and some staff and go spread some joy. We grow food because we love to share it with the people that we care about, and so nothing is better than growing something and then actually going out and utilizing it, either eating it fresh or in this case, mixing it up and cooking it down into something very enjoyable. I'm sure anybody who's been trained at cooking or actual chefs out there probably rolling your eyes at this video, seeing me make 1,000 mistakes. But honestly, I had a great time. The food's delicious, and I'm gonna have a big old smile as I go share this with people. So I hope you consider doing the same. Grow some food, cook it up, share it with people, and just smile. We'll see you next time, garden friends.